Ethan had never been inside an alien home before. He had walked past their shiny, floating vehicles, watched alien kids play in the parks, and even visited interstellar markets, but this was different. Lyra, his best friend who happened to be an alien, had invited him to her home. The invitation alone was thrilling, but the way she whispered to him as they approached the sleek, silvery house sent a shiver down his spine. "You're in trouble," she had said, her large, violet eyes serious beneath the soft glow of her forehead markings. Ethan laughed nervously, though his hands were clammy. "Trouble? Why would I be in trouble?" "I'm just visiting." Inside, the air was cool and smelled faintly of jasmine mixed with something electric, something Ethan couldn't identify. He had been inside modern human houses, even luxury apartments, but nothing prepared him for this. The floors seemed to float under their feet, lights moved along the ceiling like stars rearranging themselves, and walls sometimes appeared transparent, showing rooms that bent in ways that made him question physics. Lyra led him through a corridor that curved slightly, guiding him gently with her hand. "Be careful," she murmured. "My mother, she notices everything." His eyes darted to panels embedded in the walls, glowing softly as if alive. He imagined they were monitoring him. Did Lyra's mother really know everything that happened in this house? Could she read minds too? The thought made him uneasy, but also intrigued. When they reached a wide, open room, Lyra stepped aside to reveal her mother. Viola was tall, elegant, and alien in a way that made Ethan feel both awed and small. Her skin shimmered slightly in shades of gold and silver, her eyes glimmered like polished amethyst, and she wore flowing robes that seemed to float without moving. She looked directly at Ethan, and for a moment he felt like she could see every thought he had. "Welcome, Ethan," she said, her voice smooth, melodic, but carrying a quiet strength that made him straighten instinctively. "Lyra speaks highly of you." Ethan felt like a bird caught in a net. But then she smiled slightly, a gesture that softened her features without losing any of her authority. "You are human," she said, almost like a statement to herself rather than a question. "And humans are fascinating. You do not have our technology, our longevity, or our telepathy, yet you survive, you adapt, you think in ways that are unpredictable. She notices more than you think." As Ethan explored, he accidentally touched a small orb on a pedestal. Immediately, the orb glowed and emitted a soft hum. A holographic map appeared, showing locations on Earth and beyond. Ethan froze. He had triggered something. Lyra's mother approached silently, her expression calm, almost unreadable. Ethan felt like a deer caught in the headlights. "Curiosity is natural," she said, her voice both gentle and commanding. "But curiosity must be tempered with caution." "I told you you're in trouble," she whispered softly. Ethan tried to laugh, but his stomach felt tight. "I think I'm already in more trouble than I imagined," he admitted. Viola observed them for a moment, then turned to a panel on the wall. "Lyra, show him the garden." Plants hovered in midair, glowing faintly, their roots intertwining without touching the soil. Some leaves shimmered like metal, while others changed color depending on the angle of view. Strange insects floated without wings, moving gracefully through the air. Ethan's eyes widened. "Everything here is carefully balanced," Lyra said almost proudly. "My mother tends to it herself." "It's delicate. That's your job. Like weapons. My mother is careful." Ethan's mind spun, trying to take it all in, and all the while he felt Lyra's warning whisper in his mind, "You're in trouble." Eventually, they reached a comfortable room where Viola gestured for Ethan to sit. A soft chair molded to his shape, adjusting automatically for comfort. Viola sat across from him, her gaze direct. "Tell me about Earth," she said. "Your humans, your cities. Your problems, I want to understand you." "Not simple. Humans have potential beyond what they realize." He wasn't sure what kind of trouble he had walked into, but one thing was certain. His life had changed the moment he stepped into Lyra's home. Humans might be the underdogs, but he felt an unusual confidence now. If there was danger ahead, maybe his cleverness, courage, and unpredictability could make a difference. And as he looked around the shimmering rooms, saw the hovering gardens and strange, beautiful technology, Ethan realized that this world, and perhaps the galaxy, was bigger than he had ever imagined. And humans, as Viola had said, were not as small or weak as anyone thought. Lyra smiled at him, her wings brushing lightly against his arm. "You'll see," she said softly. "The trouble is only beginning." And with that thought, the first steps of an extraordinary journey began. Ethan could hardly believe what he had seen in Lyra's home. The shimmering walls, floating gardens, and strange technology still lingered in his mind. But as they moved deeper into the house, a sense of unease settled over him. Lyra's whispered warnings replayed in his thoughts. "You're in trouble." He had laughed at first, but now he understood that it wasn't a joke. Lyra led him through a corridor that curved gently, lit by soft lights hovering above their heads. Each step felt like stepping deeper into a world both wondrous and dangerous. Ethan's eyes darted around, noting panels on the walls and subtle shifts in the lighting. Something in the air told him he wasn't just a visitor, he was being observed. They entered a room filled with floating cubes that projected images of distant planets. Each cube displayed a world in perfect detail, some teeming with life, others barren and icy. Ethan reached out to touch one, but Lyra's hand caught his. "Don't," she whispered. "Some of these are connected to sensors. They can detect movement or intent." One of the cubes flickered and showed a new image, a small room inside their own home, one he hadn't seen before. A shadow moved in the corner of the projection. His heart leapt. "What is that?" he asked, voice barely above a whisper. Lyra's face darkened. "That's one of the monitoring areas. My mother uses them to keep track of potential threats. Humans don't usually trigger alarms, but you're clever. That's why she warned you. They believe humans are too unpredictable. My mother thinks someone might try to take advantage of that. One wrong move could trigger things we don't want to happen. They're harmless if you don't touch them, but they can alert my mother to anything unusual. Not everyone understands what humans are capable of." Lyra's eyes widened and she grabbed his arm. "Quick, follow me." Lyra looked tense. "This is where my mother monitors the home. The crystals are linked to her sensors. They can detect unusual activity, even subtle changes in energy around us. You triggered something earlier with your curiosity. It's why my mother warned you." He could see shapes and lights that reminded him of computer code and circuits back home. "Maybe I can help," he said cautiously. Lyra looked doubtful. "You don't understand this tech. You could make it worse." Ethan suggested simple methods that humans often used, observing patterns, predicting sequences, and using simple trial-and-error logic. Surprisingly, some of his ideas worked. A blinking light stopped and the sensor relaxed. Lyra's eyes widened. "You actually did something," she said in awe. Ethan smiled nervously. "Humans are good at thinking outside the box. Maybe that's why we survive so well. They want to see if anyone inside can detect them." He realized that human strength wasn't just in technology or numbers. It was in creativity, courage, and the ability to think differently. He had survived tricky situations before, but never on this scale. The vibrations stopped and the screens returned to normal. Ethan exhaled slowly. "We're okay?" he asked. Lyra nodded, though she still looked tense. "For now, but the real test is coming. My mother wants to see if humans can handle threats without panicking." They continued exploring the house, each room revealing more wonders. Ethan discovered a library filled with floating books, each page glowing with alien symbols. Lyra explained that the books could translate themselves into any language. Ethan ran his fingers over the pages, amazed at how knowledge could be shared so effortlessly. "This is incredible," he said. "I've never imagined reading like this." Humans were valuable, yes, but they were also at risk. They reached a balcony overlooking the floating gardens. Ethan leaned on the railing, marveling at the sight. He could see the city beyond, blending human and alien structures, vehicles moving in the air, lights glowing like stars. It was breathtaking. Lyra stood beside him. "See, humans live in a world full of potential. But sometimes, that potential makes you targets." As the sun set over the city, casting golden light over the shimmering buildings and floating gardens, Ethan felt a mixture of awe and determination. He had entered Lyra's home as a curious visitor, unsure of what to expect. Now, he felt like a participant in something far larger than himself, a universe of challenges, wonders, and dangers. And deep inside, he knew that humans, with their cleverness, courage, and adaptability, were ready for it. Lyra looked at him, her wings catching the last rays of light. "The trouble isn't over," she said softly, "but maybe you're ready for it." He didn't know what lay ahead, but he knew one thing for sure. Humans were more capable than anyone, even advanced aliens, might expect. And with that thought, he stepped forward into the next part of his journey, ready to face whatever challenges awaited in Lyra's extraordinary home. Ethan could feel the tension in Lyra's home growing. The floating gardens glimmered softly under the artificial lights, but the beauty of the place did little to ease the unease in his chest. He had been fascinated by every room, every device, every shimmer of alien technology, but now he understood why Lyra had whispered to him that he was in trouble. The house wasn't just a home, it was a fortress. And he was part of something far bigger than he had ever imagined. Lyra led him quietly through a series of corridors, moving faster than usual. "My mother has detected unusual energy patterns nearby," she whispered. "It's the rival faction. They've come to test the house, and perhaps to see if humans like you can be manipulated." "By who?" "And remember, humans are clever. That might be our advantage." "These are monitors," Lyra said softly. "They show everything my mother is tracking, not just the house, other areas, other species, other potential threats. Almost like it's moving toward the house deliberately. Set up a pattern they don't expect. My mother will guide us, but your role, it's important." Ethan watched the screens carefully, noting the reactions of the rival faction's probes. "Look," Lyra whispered, "they're reacting to your changes. They didn't expect this." But his intuition, his creativity, and his quick thinking were giving them an edge. Suddenly, one of the displays showed movement inside the house. Ethan froze. A shadow flickered near the main entrance. Lyra's wings twitched in alarm. "They've infiltrated the perimeter," she said softly. "Not physically, yet, but they're testing defenses inside the home." Each orb could monitor energy, movement, and even subtle shifts in thought patterns. Ethan studied them closely. He could see how their positions and behavior changed in response to external stimuli. "I think we can use these," he said. "If we position them in a pattern they can't predict, it might confuse the intruders." That's exactly what my mother was thinking, but she needed a human perspective. Your unpredictability is actually an asset. Together, they arranged the orbs in a pattern that projected false energy signals throughout the house. Ethan suggested subtle shifts every few seconds, mimicking natural movement but deliberately unpredictable. Lyra watched in awe as the system responded exactly as Ethan predicted. "Humans really are remarkable," she murmured. "I didn't realize one could have such an effect on these systems." Suddenly, an alert chimed. Ethan glanced at the main display. One of the rival agents had breached a secondary security barrier approaching a vital room. Ethan's mind raced. He had to act quickly. "Lyra, the door, they're moving fast. We need to block them," he said urgently. Lyra nodded. "Yes, but we can't use force directly. The house's defenses are delicate. You have to think like them, predict their move, and intercept it." Ethan watched as the hologram appeared, showing an empty hallway while the real path was subtly shifted. The intruder, relying on advanced calculations, hesitated, confused by the unpredictable signals. "They didn't expect that," Lyra whispered. Ethan felt a rush of adrenaline. "Sometimes humans can use mistakes or unpredictability as a weapon," he said quietly. The intruder retreated, scanning the house for the source of the interference. The display confirmed that the system was back to normal. Ethan exhaled slowly, trying to calm his racing heart. Lyra placed a hand on his shoulder. "You did it. You helped protect my home. You actually saved the situation." He had never imagined that a human could affect alien defenses so directly. But now he realized the truth. Humans were not weak. They were clever, resourceful, and capable of thinking in ways even advanced aliens could not predict. Viola appeared silently behind them. Her presence was commanding yet calm. She observed the displays and the arrangement of the orbs. Then she turned to Ethan. "You are human," she said, her voice soft but filled with authority. "And yet you contributed in ways we did not anticipate. That is impressive. Cleverness, courage, and adaptability are traits that even advanced technology cannot replace." "I told you humans were special," she whispered. Ethan smiled, though he was still catching his breath. "I guess we are. But humans have qualities that make them invaluable: creativity, courage, unpredictability. Those traits can turn the tide of any conflict. And in the hands of someone willing to act, those solutions could change outcomes." As the tension in the house eased, Ethan and Lyra walked to a balcony overlooking the city. The sun had dipped lower, casting soft, golden light across alien and human structures alike. Floating vehicles moved gracefully through the air, lights twinkled in windows, and the city felt alive with possibility. Lyra spoke softly. "Humans may seem small, fragile, or ordinary, but your kind has something even we sometimes forget. You adapt, you improvise, you survive, and sometimes you outsmart beings far stronger than yourselves." There would be more tests, more threats, more unknown dangers, but he knew something crucial. Humans were capable of more than anyone, even advanced aliens, realized. And for the first time, Ethan truly believed that he and humans like him could make a difference in the galaxy. Lyra's wings brushed against his arm. "The tests aren't over," she said quietly. "But you handled this one." "Well," and in the vast galaxy of stars, planets, and unknown dangers, humans had a place where courage, creativity, and intelligence mattered more than any tool or weapon. Ethan knew the journey ahead would be dangerous, but he also knew that humans were ready. And he, a single human standing in an alien home filled with wonders and threats, was ready too. Ethan had barely caught his breath from the previous encounter when an alert rippled through Lyra's home. This time, the energy readings were stronger, sharper, and unmistakable. The rival alien faction was not testing from a distance. They were here, on the premises. The realization sent a jolt of adrenaline through him. This wasn't a drill, this was real. Lyra's wings twitched nervously as she glanced at the glowing crystals embedded in the walls. "They've arrived," she whispered. "We have to act carefully. My mother warned me this might happen, but humans like you might make the difference." He had never faced anything like this before, yet he understood one thing clearly: humans had a unique advantage. No alien could predict every human move, and that unpredictability could be a weapon. Viola appeared, tall and commanding as ever. Her golden eyes scanned the displays. "They are approaching the main entrance," she said. "They believe they are superior. They underestimate humans. We can use that." They were methodical, relying on logic and calculation, but their approach lacked flexibility. That was the opening. Lyra led him to a chamber where soft, glowing panels stretched across the walls. "This room can control parts of the house," she explained. "With careful timing, we can redirect their movement without harming anyone." Using simple logic combined with observation, he suggested projecting a series of false energy signals to mimic corridors and rooms. "If we create paths they can't predict, they'll be confused," he said. Lyra's eyes sparkled. "Exactly, but it has to be unpredictable, not too obvious, or they'll adapt." Ethan directed the shifting energy flows, while Lyra adjusted the floating drones to amplify the deception. The house became a maze of illusions, invisible barriers, and false paths. Ethan realized that humans, with their ability to improvise and think differently, could create chaos in even the most advanced alien systems. Minutes later, the first rival alien appeared at the entrance. They were tall, sleek, and clearly confident, moving with a grace that suggested both power and arrogance. They paused, scanning the energy field. Ethan held his breath, watching the displays. The intruder took a step forward and immediately stopped. A holographic corridor shimmered in front of them, leading to an empty room. Ethan's plan was working. The alien hesitated, unsure if the path was real. Lyra whispered, "They don't expect this. Keep going." Humans might not have the technology, but their creativity could outmaneuver it. Suddenly, two more aliens appeared, having bypassed the initial defenses. Ethan's heart pounded. This was bigger than he had imagined. He focused, thinking like a strategist. He directed drones to project duplicate images of corridors and doors, creating multiple false exits. The aliens moved cautiously, their calculations disrupted. Viola observed silently, her golden eyes glowing faintly. She seemed impressed. "They did not anticipate human unpredictability," she murmured. "This is why humans are valuable." But here, in the face of superior technology and power, his quick thinking made a real difference. He realized that the galaxy underestimated humans at their peril. The rival aliens paused, scanning the energy fields, trying to understand the distortions. Ethan quickly redirected the signals, creating a false gap in the floor projections. One alien moved toward it, and Ethan held his breath. The floor shimmered, but instead of collapsing, the alien was guided into a soft containment field, harmless but immobilizing. Lyra gasped softly. "You actually did it." Ethan quickly noticed a pattern in their movement. He adjusted the floating orbs to create a mirrored path, essentially tricking the alien into chasing its own projection. The alien faltered, giving Viola's defenses time to stabilize the house's energy field. Ethan realized humans' greatest power wasn't strength or technology, it was cleverness. They could improvise, adapt, and act unpredictably. Even beings far more advanced could be outmaneuvered by a mind willing to think differently. As the confrontation continued, Ethan's confidence grew. He suggested creating subtle sound and light cues to mislead the intruders further. Lyra hesitated, then followed his instructions. Together, they turned the house into a labyrinth of illusions. The aliens stumbled, confused by the constantly shifting projections and mirrored paths. Finally, the intruders retreated. Their logic-driven approach couldn't cope with the unpredictable human-led tactics. Ethan exhaled, feeling the tension leave his body in a slow wave. Lyra smiled at him, wings fluttering gently. "You did it," she whispered. "You really helped protect the house." "My mother's systems were strong, but humans can be unpredictable." Humans often thought of themselves as fragile, as ordinary, as small in the vast universe. But standing in Lyra's home, seeing the results of his actions, he understood the truth. Humans had qualities that could make them extraordinary in the right situations. Lyra's eyes sparkled. "I told you, humans are special. Clever, unpredictable, and brave. Your ability to think, adapt, and act under pressure is what makes you formidable. And it is a trait that can change outcomes, even here, even among advanced beings." Their creativity, courage, and ability to improvise could make them invaluable allies or formidable opponents. As the house returned to its normal calm, Ethan and Lyra walked to the balcony overlooking the city. The sun was setting, casting soft golden light over alien and human structures. Vehicles floated through the air, and lights twinkled across buildings. Ethan took a deep breath, feeling a sense of accomplishment and clarity. "The threat is gone for now," Lyra said quietly, "but there will be more tests, more challenges. I think my mother was right to trust you. Humans can be unpredictable, and sometimes unpredictability wins." This was more than a simple visit to an alien home. This was a lesson in what humans could achieve. Against odds, against technology far beyond their own, humans had the power to make a difference. And in that moment, Ethan understood the truth of Lyra's warning. He had been in trouble, but not in a way that threatened him. The trouble had been a test, a chance to prove that humans were capable, clever, and ready for the challenges of the galaxy. Ethan smiled faintly, feeling a spark of determination. Humans had survived on Earth for centuries, thriving despite unpredictable events and challenges. Now, in the heart of an alien home filled with wonders and threats, he understood that humans could survive and even excel in the stars. Lyra looked at him with admiration. "You handled this well, Ethan, very well." Together, a place where their minds mattered just as much, if not more, than any weapon or advanced technology. Ethan felt ready. The next test would come, but this time humans would not be underestimated. The night was quiet yet tense. Ethan sat on the balcony of Lyra's home, looking out over the glowing city. The floating vehicles and shimmering towers reflected the soft light of distant stars, a beauty that could distract anyone from danger. But Ethan's mind was alert. The rival faction had retreated for now, but he knew they would return, and next time they would not underestimate humans or him. Lyra joined him, her wings folded gently behind her. "You did well tonight," she said softly. "I've never seen a human adapt so quickly to our systems." Even after everything he had witnessed, the alien matriarch inspired awe. "You have proven yourself," Viola said, her voice melodic yet firm. "Humans are underestimated, but tonight you showed what they are capable of. Cleverness, adaptability, courage, these traits cannot be replicated by technology or force. You have earned respect, not only from us but from the galaxy's observers who watch quietly from afar. You have exceeded expectations. I told you humans were extraordinary." He thought of the rival faction, their arrogance, their reliance on advanced technology, and how they had been outsmarted by a human. It was a powerful realization. Humans were underestimated because their greatest weapons were not visible: brains, creativity, and adaptability. "Will they come back?" Ethan asked quietly. "Perhaps," Viola said, "but next time they will not face you alone. Humans will have allies, and your species will be respected. You have changed the perception of what humans can do." Lyra's wings brushed against his arm as she whispered, "The galaxy is big and dangerous, but humans have something special, don't forget that. But those who can adapt, think creatively, and act bravely will survive and thrive." "Humans aren't just survivors," Ethan said quietly, almost to himself. "We're capable of greatness. Your species may seem ordinary, but in reality, you possess traits that can influence events on a scale you cannot yet imagine. Curiosity, courage, and creativity, these are your weapons." And now he understood the same traits that helped humans thrive at home could make them influential in the galaxy. "I understand," Ethan said firmly. Humans are unpredictable, clever, and resilient, and we're ready to face whatever comes next. Your creativity and courage are your strengths, and you have shown that even a single human can make a difference. Humans were underestimated, yet that was their advantage. They could think differently, act unpredictably, and survive in ways even advanced species could not foresee. Viola moved back, her presence still commanding. Tonight was a test, Ethan, not just for you but for humanity. You passed. And now humans will be seen in a new light, as capable, clever, and worthy of respect. I told you were in trouble, but look at you now. You handled it. You didn't just survive, you made a difference. You are human, yes, but your actions tonight have shown what your species can achieve when intelligence, courage, and creativity are combined. Their creativity and unpredictability made them worthy allies and formidable opponents. Lyra leaned closer. The journey isn't over, she said softly. There will be more challenges, but humans can handle them. You've shown that tonight. And we don't give up. Creativity, courage, and adaptability, these traits could change outcomes, shift the balance, and influence the course of events. Humans could survive, thrive, and even excel no matter the odds. Lyra looked at him, her expression soft but proud. You've shown everyone, Ethan, humans matter. Humans can be extraordinary. He had learned that humans were not weak, not ordinary, and not insignificant. They were clever, brave, and capable of shaping their own destiny, even in a galaxy full of advanced alien civilizations. As the night deepened and stars glittered above, Ethan felt a spark of hope and determination. The rival faction might return, challenges might arise, and dangers might loom, but humans had something unique. Their minds were powerful, their courage unwavering, and their creativity limitless. Ethan looked at Lyra and Viola. We're ready for whatever comes next. Humans won't be underestimated again. Remember, Ethan, humanity is more than what it seems. You have proven it tonight, and your species will continue to prove it in ways that matter. Lyra whispered, I knew humans were special, but tonight you've shown even me. Humans had a place in the galaxy, a role that could not be ignored. Their creativity, courage, and ingenuity would shape events and earn respect, not through force, but through their unique abilities. Ethan stood on the balcony, looking at the stars. The universe was vast, full of unknown dangers, yet he felt ready. Humans had survived, and humans would continue to thrive. And he, a single human, had shown that courage and cleverness mattered even among the stars. Lyra's hand brushed his arm. The future is bright, Ethan. Humans can be extraordinary.